Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we're taking a look at the Luxli Cello 2. Now this will cost you $450. Now this was sent out to me for my review, but as always these are going to be my own brutal and honest opinions as always. Now, it is no secret I am a huge fan of Luxli. I've reviewed their stuff right there, and I love their stuff, and I did see this at NAB this year, and just really wanted to get my hands on it. So let's take a look at what comes inside the box. First off, you're going to get the unit itself, a very long USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable, a Type-C to wall plug, a Sony NPF battery. For an additional cost, you can get barn doors, diffusion, and grid. Okay, so let's start out by comparing this to the original cello. And as you can see, this is a little bit lighter and a little bit thinner. The body type is pretty much the same. I don't think they changed the dimensions. I think they just lost weight. I'm not really sure how they did it. Maybe this is a little bit thinner than that. But as you can see, the new one has a brand new 5-dye LED technology. You're getting RGB AW, which is amber and white, so you're just getting a lot more accuracy with this light. And I believe the old light is 12 something and this is 14 something lumens. You are getting more power, a little bit more power out of the Luxli Cello 2 than you are the old one. And nothing is really very different. I mean, as you can see here, the new one is less sloped, and that is because of the buttons back here. These have these older, larger buttons. The new knobs here, they are much more lower profile. Now, I will tell you right now, I love this. Listen to how tactile that is. I know that a function is happening, and I have big, meaty fingers, so I really love the big dials. Here, when I press down, it's almost like I'm not pressing anything. There's just no response. And I will go ahead and slap in the battery. And one thing I will show you is that, let's go ahead and turn this on. And this loads up fairly quick. One thing I will show you is you can't just quickly tap it. You have to hold this down and let it go, which is time consuming. So that is the new one. Let's take a look at how the old one works. The old one, when you turn this on, oh, look, you go to your plus minus green, super, super, super fast, super tactile. I really miss this. I don't know why they changed this to this kind of a system. It's one thing just to slow you down. I do know that the reason why they went with a lower profile is so that this would lay a little flatter, but I do really miss the tactileness of this. This lets me know that I'm doing something. When I press this down, it feels like it feels like pressing down on this isn't a function. And the only other difference is you get a micro USB Type-C instead of a micro. And that's pretty much really the only update here besides getting a little bit more power. Now, yes, if you have the Rubbermaid, this will fit into the Rubbermaid quite nicely. I use these for storage, and that's pretty much all I use these for. I mean, you can use it for diffusion. But they've went ahead and they've created something better. Now, I was talking with the rep at Luxli at NAB this year, and they were racking their brains trying to figure out a way to get rid of, everybody hated this Rubbermaid diffusion. So they were trying to think about how they could fix that problem. And somebody was taking a look at the unit and said, well, we have all these metal screws to hold this together. Why don't we just make a diffusion that's magnetized? This is a brilliant solution to something that was already existing. And not only will it fit the old unit, but if you have a whole bunch of old ones, you are good to go. So very, very, very cool. And of course, they made this grid, which is also fantastic. I really like this. Really a wonderful idea. Very excited about these two options, and they are not that expensive. I'll put the price either somewhere on the screen or somewhere down below in the notes. Next, let's talk about the barn doors. These are very well made. They are solid metal. Now, I will say that my pair is a bit flimsy here when it comes to build quality, when it comes to how it came. Unfortunately, there's no way to tighten this up. There's no way. I have to take a pair of pliers and kind of squeeze this together. Or maybe I can take something and kind of. I mean, there is definitely there's tightening screws here with an Allen wrench, so I could probably do something there. But is just a little bit floppy, and maybe that's just the one I got. but pretty rock solid. Now you do have these locks, which are very nice. They are just plastic. And yes, they do fit the old cello as well as the new cello, which is super awesome. So again, if you want panels for your cello, you don't need to worry because it will fit both. And I generally like to leave one side up, slide this in, clamp it in, and you are good to go. So let's say I'm running this off a wall plug here and I want to switch to battery. Well, that is not a problem. I just pop in the battery and voila, it is super hot swappable, just like the Luxli panel. Say my battery's running dead, I want to stick this onto a power bank or a little power pack here. Well, all I have to do is squeeze that in, pull off the battery, and there's absolutely no interruption. So if you have to change the battery while you're filming, you can. And not only can you run this off a little power bank like this or another power bank, this is also going to not only run your light, but while it's running your light, it's going to be charging your battery, which is super awesome. So you will get a little indicator here letting you know that it is charging your battery, which is very, 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 very cool. Now let's go ahead and take a brief fly through the menu system here. There is nothing really different. It's the same screen and everything. This goes all the way down to 2800 Kelvin this time. So it does go a little bit lower. I do believe the original doesn't go that low. Let's see if this battery works. Yep, the original only goes to 3000 Kelvin. This goes to 2800 Kelvin, and this goes all the way up, I believe, to 10,000, and so does the original cello. So there you go. You are getting, again, a little bit more on the tungsten end with this one. Now, flying through the menu here, you do get all these different settings, and when you want to hit your daylight, it's got a little. When you want to hit your daylight, it's got a little bulb, or if you want a little cloudiness, it's got little icons here. And of course, you've got your percentages. And what I really love about this is as you do this, it dims beautifully. Like if I want to do that, if I want to dim this all the way down, see how it doesn't flutter, it just dims up and down when you go from 0 to 100, very cool. And of course, you can do that. You can set this to 34, and let's go ahead and hold in the button, and it dims out, hold in the button again, and it goes right back to 34, which is very, very, very cool. Now, if you want your plus minus green, hold that down. And this has plus minus green all the way to 100, which is very cool. So you get a lot of adjustability when you're using these with other lights. And it is very, 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 very nice. Pressing in the mode button, you get your typical HSI mode, and you navigate pretty much the same way. Tapping it again, you get your color. You get 150 Lee gels, which is very cool, which means you can mix this a little bit with the Wii Light, which I reviewed right there last week. And you have, of course, CCT chase, you have your color chase, you have explosion, fire, fireworks, lightning, paparazzi, pulse, siren, strobe, all the good stuff. Now, one thing I will say, and one of the main reasons why I bought this light, and that is just simply for the fire effect itself. And to trigger the fire effect, you're going to want to hold down the bottom button there. The fire effect is, I think, the best fire effect that I have ever seen on any light. Luxli has the best fire effect I've ever seen. I usually take a whole bunch of these. I have 3 of the originals. I take a whole bunch and I put them on staircases and I put them in different places so it looks like it's different areas of fire, and it just really looks incredible. Just their fire effect, in my opinion, is just not unmatched. Very, very, very cool. So there you have it. It is very simple, a very simple device. Pretty much the same as the original Luxli. Okay, so here we are with the new one. I accidentally put up the old one and didn't realize the only distinguishing marks is that the logo is black and you can't see it. But if you're not looking for that, just make sure if you're using the new one, it's white. So there is the bare bulb at 100%. And let's go ahead and dim this down to 0. And as you can see, this dims really, really well. Actually, slightly better than its predecessor. But I really love the way that it dims down here. And of course, you can set it to 10%, turn it off, and then go back to 10%, and it dims up. Very cool. So you do have that ability now. Let's go ahead and throw on the diffusion here. And look how beautifully that diffuses. It does a fantastic job there. And now let's go ahead and slap on the grid. And again, I love these magnets. And I love the way that this does a beautiful like circle pattern. Especially when you pull this close, you definitely see that it's a circle. It definitely does close in the light very, very nicely for such a long shaped light. Okay, so let's just take a look at the barn doors by themselves. Now, if you are just trying to use the bare bulbs here, you are going to get massive, massive banding when you try to use these barn doors. So you will need to either put a piece of diffusion on, or especially the top and bottom here, you're just getting all these little lines here. Now, the great thing about this is you can take the diffusion plate, and yes, the diffusion does fit right in the center, and yes, you can cut the light very nicely, so that does work, be it though it cuts down the light quite a bit, but this does give you some control. Now let's go ahead and try to do the same with the grid. If you put the grid on first, you are definitely going to have the ability to slap the grid in with the barn doors. Again, you are going to get the same problem with the banding, but again, it's not as bad. You can at least control a little bit of the spill. You can actually close this down a little bit more. Not too much, but again, you are going to get banding there, so you'll want to go with a piece of diffusion over the grid, which kind of defeats the purpose, but you can stick in the grid as well. It's just not as good as slapping in the diffusion. So let's talk pros and cons here. Now, the big con in the room is the way the buttons operate. I am not a huge fan. I really, like I said before, I miss the tactile of this. This lets me know that I'm changing a setting. When I press this down, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything, like I said. And again, you have to hold this and let it go and hope that it changes. Where this, you just have to tap it. Now, I do understand why they made this a little bit lower profile so that it would lay a little flatter, and also so people didn't accidentally keep hitting these in the dark. I get that, but I really do miss this kind of tactileness. And then the other con, really, there's not many cons here to kind of look at. Now let's talk about the pros. This thing is as pro as you can get. For $450, you're getting a great value. I love everything about these lights. I have 3 of the original. I'm keeping this one as a 4th. It is pretty awesome, but I will tell you the addition of the USB Type-C and the ability to charge the Sony NPF batteries, which the original used to kill Sony NPF batteries. It was like 40 minutes and you were done. What I do like about these units is when the battery gets low, it will shut off. It will not drain your entire battery, so it does not use the entirety of the battery, and that is to protect the battery to protect the battery cell so it doesn't wear out as fast, which again is another nice feature that they carried over into the Cello 2. I love the hot swappability between plug and battery. I love the fact that you can charge this while this is plugged in. They still give you the option of a barrel connector. All the great stuff about the first one are back in this one. You get a little bit more brightness out of this. You get more color accuracy out of this. I really do like this new one. It really is quite fantastic. Now, the big question on the table, will I upgrade? And that's a harder choice because I've already paid my money to kit the originals out. I have a 3 kit, I have all the barrel plugs, the V-mounts, everything that I need. However, if you are someone who has to have the USB Type-C, wants to be charging the battery while this is plugged in, you want the hot swappability, you cannot go wrong with the new one. There are a lot of upgrades, but for me, there's not enough. So I will most likely stick with the original cello versus the new cello. I will probably add this to my kit. For me, what I would suggest, if you already own a whole bunch of old cellos, just go out and get the diffusion plate and just go out and get the grid and call it a day. This works pretty much the same. The power difference isn't that great. And if you've already paid your money, then you can't go wrong with the original either. They're both just as good. And of course, the barn doors, the Rubbermaid, everything fits both. So if you wanted to get the barn doors as well to help control the light, you could do that as well. So very, very, very cool. I will most likely just add this and make it a 4 kit. This will probably be the first one I grab, the new cello, but the old cello, I will definitely keep those around as well. So those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash the bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.